You have to figure out how to process that. And a lot of times, trying to remove the power from what you had just seen, because that's what the whole thing about dark humor is. If you're not able to joke about it, if you're not able to find some kind of way to look at it in a lighter way, that entity, that traumatic event has a crap ton of power in it.
Jason, how are you, man? Thanks for coming on.
I'm good, brother. How are you, man?
I'm doing all right. So you are primarily known as the guy from Fire Department Chronicles. So
Yeah.
where did that come from? How did that start? I actually found out about you guys about probably a year and a half ago. One of the guys I work with is a big fan, and he showed me one of your videos, and it was so spot on. Where did that come from?
I appreciate it, dude. I think it was sheer luck, to be honest. I mean, I've said from day one, there's one of me in every single station across the world. Someone joking around, messing with everybody, that kind of thing. I got lucky. We were messing around one day. We got a GoPro. Or a buddy of mine had a GoPro, and we were talking about National Geographics, and we were like, we should start hunting for the battalion chief or hunting for different positions. So I donned a very, very poor Australian accent. I would see people argue over where they thought I was from, if I was from Australia or South Africa, or it was just England. It was really good stuff. So, but we go hunting for the battalion chief, and we say like, we go in there creeping. He has no clue we're coming in there, and he's like, if you look at the belly, the larger the belly, the more gnarly they are. We start poking his belly, and he goes along with him. We have a really good time. So that started, and then we did hunting for the firefighter and the paramedic and all this stuff, and the one that kind of solidified, at least at the time, and it was National Geographic's Fire Department edition at the time, but one that solidified it was we were hunting for the paramedic via their natural mating call, which is bitching. And it was like spot on. People laughed. They like got 100,000 views in 8 hours. It was a huge deal. So it was just such a cool thing to see people share my type of humor.
Oh yeah, I mean, I can obviously I where I work, I know several of the guys that I work with are a big fan. Do you come up with this on your own? Because actually, it was last night. I had a call for a lady. We were trying to tell her to get on the cot, and she just couldn't figure out how to sit down. And I started laughing because I thought about your video where you talk about that. I was like, who taught you how to sit down? What are you doing right now? And she just couldn't figure it out. Eventually, she got it and we got her out of there. But do you come up with this on your own?
I mean, most of 99% of the stuff I'm coming up with it's, things I've experienced, things I've seen all the time. I'm trying to get a hold of a fake police officer uniform. I want to do what I think police officers say before we get there. Fun stuff. But I mean, what I put out there, I think the reason people find it funny is no matter where you go, it is all the same. I mean, I love my police officer brothers and sisters and stuff, but it's always the same. They're always like, you ask them to clear the scene for you, and 5 minutes later, you're like, where are you guys at right now? Or,
right.
Like every drunk guy somehow has chest pain, or his leg is hurting now. He's got to go to the hospital via us. So
right.
Yeah, most of the time it's just me coming up with the stuff, but it's just stuff that I see on a daily basis, and then things like the Halibal blow dart, or I'm about to come out with the ketamine fog machine. These are all things I want to see invented at some point in time. So.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
So humor is a big part of what you do day to day. How is it? Obviously, there's a lot of people that are huge fans of you and Fire Department Coffee and all of that. How has the reception been? Have you had any negative reception from anybody in the fire service?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. In the beginning, there was 99.9% of people were like, this is awesome. This is so cool. But there was a small wave of people that came in, and they wanted to give me crap about what I was doing and how, it was doing a disservice to the fire service. But, I've seen since then, because I was kind of getting in when social media was starting to really trend up in fire departments and EMS and stuff like that. And you see that fire departments are learning. You have a choice. You either adopt social media and utilize it to, recruit better, train your guys better, train the people around you, reflect your department as a positive thing, or you try to ignore it and it ends up biting you, that kind of thing. So I got really lucky. I had an incredible chief that allowed me to start making the videos and, have a good time with what I was doing. I kept it PG-13 from the second I brought it in. I didn't take any of the dark humor that we use in our stations and put it directly out there. I filtered it through, social,
Right,
through,
right.
the PC filter first. And then, he said to me, he was very cool about the whole thing. He goes, "Hey, look, man," he goes, "some people don't like what you're doing. I love it. I think it's really cool. But I'm going to give you 3 pieces of advice here." He goes, "Don't put the department in anything. I don't want to see any logos, nothing like that. Don't do
Yep.
anything stupid. If you do anything stupid, it's hard to protect you.
It's a good
And if you
rule.
get fired, you do this to yourself." I'm like, "Fuck, man, we got a deal, man." So he was very, very cool about the whole thing, and I got very, very lucky.
Good, good. That's awesome. So you mentioned dark humor. That's
Mm,
something that a lot of people that don't work in public safety, whether it be police, fire, EMS, I would argue probably a lot of people in emergency rooms and frontline healthcare, maybe a
mhm.
handful of other, probably military
Yeah,
too.
military. Yeah,
It's something that people that are outside of that don't really understand.
yeah.
What, how would you explain to somebody that is outside of any of those job categories why it's important and what it actually people hear that and they think, "Oh God, you're sick, what's wrong with you?" And sometimes some people do go a little too far, but
Yeah.
you know uh, why is that important?
I think, for a lot of people, when they think of dark humor, they immediately go to dead baby jokes and stuff like that. Like they always take the jokes that are way too far to utilize as their examples of why dark humor is bad. But I mean, it is proven scientifically through psychological studies. I mean, pretty much every therapist on the face of the planet will tell you that dark humor is an incredible thing when utilized appropriately. For most people like us, firefighters, police officers, any first responders, military, anyone in healthcare, or even just the average person that comes across an extremely traumatic event, you have to figure out how to process that. And a lot of times, trying to remove the power from what you had just seen, because that's what the whole thing about dark humor is. If you're not able to joke about it, if you're not able to find some kind of way to look at it in a lighter way, that entity, that traumatic event has a crap ton of power in it. And if you are able to poke a little hole in it, then you're able to remove the power from that and then possibly be able to talk about it, be able to move through it. And that's where dark humor comes in. And it is proven to help a lot of firefighters and first responders be able to process the unnatural things that they see on a daily basis.
Right. So let's talk about that. So mental health right now is obviously a very big topic in fire service, public safety everywhere. Do you think A, that fire departments and the fire service in general is doing enough? And B, if they aren't, what could they be doing differently? What could they be doing more?
Yeah. Mental health in general will be a subject that will be spoken about for centuries. It's been talked about for centuries. It's been dealt with in very different ways. Spartans did it differently, as well as, they talk about Indians and how Indian warriors or Native American warriors, they would go to battle. And when they came back from battle, they were put into a like almost, I call it Bikram yoga, but they would be put into like a little steam room, and they would talk about what they saw in war with the elders, and their feelings and their thought processes, the dark things that they had seen were said to be evaporated off of the rocks. So like these things have been utilized forever. We just want to put a different spin on it. So I think fire departments are doing a good job now. I think they're doing a better job than they were in the past. But mental health is by far the most dynamic thing on the face of the planet, because it's been perceived as a very negative thing forever. Physical health is good, intellectual health is good, mental health is bad. Like, that makes no sense. So
Right.
it's now being looked at a little bit better, but this is dynamic in the way that it has to come from both sides. It cannot just be the firefighter talking about their feelings. It has to be the firefighter talking about their feelings, the guys that they're talking to accept it, and then administration willing to help them in any way, whether that's paid time off, making sure they get to the right facilities, so on and so forth. So this has to come from every angle for it to operate properly.
Okay. So I hear from, so you talked about when you first started Fire Department Chronicles, you got for a minute, you had a wave of people that were saying negative things. And I've talked about it slightly on my channel. I've gotten probably a small wave of people saying, oh, this is nonsense. This isn't anything. If you can't deal with the job, just quit or suck it up. Do you think that this is, you said that this mental health has been a thing that people have been dealing with for a long time, but do you think that it was just ignored for a while? Because obviously tragic things have been happening since the beginning of people.
Yeah.
Are we just now realizing it? And why didn't we realize this 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago when the exact same things were happening? Is it just more on the forefront now because we have social media and people can talk about it? Or
I think it's a multitude of things. I think social media is around, so now people are talking about it a little bit more. I think it has been around forever. We just addressed it differently. You know, people, when they don't understand things, I mean, this is, we've seen this throughout everything. When they don't understand something, when they can't explain it, when they can't feel it, touch it, you know, look at it, that is a broken leg. I can see that that is angulated, like that is a bad broken leg. When they can't see it, it doesn't exist, or you're making it up in your head. I mean, anyone who says mental health is not real knows zero about placebo effects. I mean, we've literally proven placebo effect works. So we have the actual mental capacity to create physiological changes, and if we believe in it enough. I mean, that proves that mental health is an actual thing and can have physiological changes in it. So in general, people don't want to address it if they're not comfortable with it. If they, you know, if I talk about my feelings, then it lessens my manhood, which is stupid in every way, shape, or form. Your manhood is not seated in the size of truck you drive. Like, and it's also not seated, you know, because every firefighter has the biggest truck in the world, which is great if you use a damn truck. I had to drive an hour to get my daughter, you know, 4 times a week. So yeah, I'm not driving a truck anymore. I'll be broke. So, but your manhood is not seated in your abilities to you know, keep feelings in. In fact, I would be willing to say, you know, we always like to say a well-rounded firefighter, you know, looks at the scene 360 when you arrive. We make sure that everything is good, you know, and everything is about being a well-rounded firefighter in the physicalities or, you know, the training portion of it. But yet you can't be well-rounded as an emotional human. That makes no sense. Like, so I think just being able to say like, hey, just because you express your feelings does not mean you're less of a person. In fact, it makes you a better person because you're able to get these things off. And then they're not digging deeper into your brain, creating massive, massive issues.
Right. Very well said. So a lot of people also know you as the guy from Fire Department Coffee. Tell me about that. I'm particularly interested because I was actually reading on your guys' website. You give a portion of your profits or your sales to help with injured firefighters. Speaking of what we were just talking about, whether it be PTSD or something like that, or physical injuries or whatever. Tell me about Fire Department Coffee. Where'd that come from?
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. So 2016, I start the videos. I start doing my videos and stuff. Luke Schneider, the CEO of Fire Department Coffee, he's a Rockford firefighter, reaches out to me. He's like, hey man, I just created Fire Department Coffee, man. I'd love to do some work with you. So I was like, send me the coffee and I'll figure out if I want to work with you or not. So sends me a 6-pound bag and I loved it, man. It tastes amazing. So I flew up to Illinois. And actually the best story that I ever had, I haven't told the story to a lot of people, but we're driving to Rockford, Illinois, which is about an hour and 20 minutes northwest of Chicago. And we're driving out there, and for about 20 minutes, you just see nothing but cornfields. And him being a firefighter and me being a firefighter, I was like, man, it's a lot farther than I thought it was going to be. And he looks around, he's like, yeah, I could be driving you out to kill you right now, and you would never know, would you? I was like, he's like, I'm kidding, I'm not. But we started working together. I was just going to be a spokesperson in the beginning, and he, spokesperson and part owner, and then eventually I am now vice president and part owner of Fire Department Coffee. And yeah, man, 10% of all of our net proceeds go back to helping sick and injured first responders. We believe, you see these charities. The reason this really started, the charity portion, is I don't like charities. I'm not a big fan of them. Yeah, just because. You know, I get it, man. You got to be able to, if there's someone in there full time running it, you got to pay them. They got to be able to support their own families. But sometimes just because of attempting to run a successful charity, 90% of whatever you're getting is going to that, and the 10% is going to help the people. So we've been very fortunate. We're able to take those proceeds, and normally about 2 1 to 2 or possibly 3, depending on the amount of money we're given that month. We find benevolent funds that we're able to donate to that support people directly, or if we find somebody that we're able to validate their story, then we can support them directly as well. So.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I agree with you 100%. There's so many nonprofits and charities out there where you're right. I mean, 70% of it goes to somebody's salary, 70% of it goes to marketing, 70% of it goes to whatever. You're like, oh, well, the $10 I gave, $1.50 went to somebody. So no, I agree with you 100%. And you guys now, I've seen some videos of you working with Stipe Miocic. What's that like?
Dude, I got to tell you, that is one awesome dude. Like,
he is.
Yeah, you want to talk about a guy who's like 260 pounds, could literally like knock me out with his thumb, and like and I would never know. He just talks and he just BS's the whole time. He's just such a good guy. When we went to film with him the first time, I flew out there and I just stopped by the station to drop off some coffee and just say what's up real fast, just to introduce myself. We sat there for an hour and a half, man, just an hour and a half, and talked, and just you would never know that this guy, was the 7 or 6 time UFC heavyweight champion. You would never know that by the way this guy acts. So cool.
Yeah, one of the baddest guys on the planet. So it's funny because I'm in the same area as he is. Okay. And I went and I started to work out at the gym where I don't know where he still is now. This was probably 8-9 years ago, something like that. Yeah. And I was just getting started in jiu-jitsu. I didn't really know a ton of stuff, but I'm a bigger guy. I'm about 6'5", 240 pounds. And so I was rolling with somebody and I didn't know what the heck I was doing. And this guy comes over, he's like, hey man, let me show you some things. Turns out it was him. And I remember after I left, I was just like, this is
funny.
This guy, and this was before he became the champ, but still, I mean, he was a top contender in the UFC. I remember leaving, thinking to myself, and I played soccer at a pretty high level. I've never met a high level athlete that would go out of their way like that. I've never met another person like that. And I was just amazed that this guy, one of the baddest people on the planet, one of the top athletes in the world at what he does, just randomly, hey man, let me show you this. This helped me a lot. I couldn't believe it. Such a good guy.
That's the way he is, man. At all times, he and I are in talks right now of possibly developing a TV show together. And
nice.
Yeah, I got like hopefully, we'll see what happens. How TV shows go, but if this does work out, I think it's going to be very cool. Something along the lines of he and I, traveling the United States and highlighting firefighters across the United States. Man, I think it's going to be really, really cool.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome. So, how long have you been a firefighter?
I've been a firefighter for 13 years.
Okay. So a lot of the people that watch my channel are interested in getting into public service, public safety in a variety of different forms. What was 15 or 16-year-old Jason like? Did he always know that he wanted to do this, or did you fall into this by accident? How did you get here?
15 or 16-year-old Jason Patton was an asshole. That was sorry if I don't remember the curse.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
I got lucky. So 15 or 16, I was actually getting in trouble as a kid. Nothing like major, but I got a little trouble as a kid, and I ended up going to a thing called Eagle Academy. It was a boot camp for kids, and it got me like straightened and got me into. At 18 years old, I became a mechanic. My father was a mechanic, so I became a mechanic, and I was an atrocious mechanic. I was not good at it in any way, shape, or form. The attention to detail, and that's something I was not interested in. It did not end well for me. So probably about 2 years into being a mechanic, 2.5 years, a buddy of mine said, hey man, you should go check out EMT school. It's awesome. It's a really, really cool thing. And I was like, all right, let me go check it out, dude. And I loved it. It was amazing. Like it was, I fell in love with the human body and how it works and collateral blood flows and, breath sounds and all this stuff. I was like, this is what I want to do. I went immediately into paramedic school. When I graduated on Friday, started medic school on Monday, and then did that for about a year and worked for AMR for 2 years and got into fire school and got hired about 6 months after that.
So what made you decide to go back to fire school? If you were working for AMR and you really like the EMS side, because there's, as I'm sure you know, there's a ton of a lot of fire departments now require people to be EMTs or medics. And there's a ton of firefighters that hate the EMS side. And I get their complaints with it, but what made you decide, all right, I started as EMS, but let's go do this whole fire thing?
You don't have a choice down here. That's really what it comes down to. Yeah, if you want to run first response, if you want to be, when they call 911, you're showing up. Then there are some areas, but in my area, very, very far and few in between. few and far in between. That's where I was supposed to go.
I gotcha.
So, and I love the fire side, man. There's just like, there's something very testosterone driven, and just this thing where like this house is on fire and you have to put it out, or you possibly doing a save. And then on the same side, I love medical, man. I love when you show up on scene and it is a good medical call and you are there to literally stop this person from dying. I think both sides are so incredible. And people get burnt out from two big questions I get asked. Why do guys get so more excited about fire than EMS? Because we never run fires. Like it's very rare
Right.
we get to run a fire these days. So when we do, my area is pretty busy with fire, so it's good. You get a good mix. But when you do get it, man, it's so few in between. But like when a cardiac arrest drops, we're running out the door just as fast as we would be for a fire, because we know like life and death, we got to go right this second. So those are the big things that people are always asking me about.
Yeah. So you said you touched on something that's a very popular thing for people that are I don't want to say anti-fire service, but there's a lot of detractors from the fire service. They say, well, you don't get a lot of fires anymore. Talk about that, because I watched one of your videos about why it's still important that we do have career firefighters and the fire department is trained and is funded properly. And I've talked about this in other videos too, but I want to hear what you have to say about that.
Well, through everything in firefighting, the number one thing we talk about is adaptation, right? We need to be able to adapt to the scenes around us or adapt to the environments that we're in, so on and so forth. And that's what we've done. Prior a while ago, man, EMS or police were the ones that handled extrications. So, we took over that. So now we're specialized in extrications. Not to mention hazmats. I mean, you talk about the amount of hazmat calls. I think they've gone up. I think it was like 300% or something like that, or 500% over the last, because now we're dealing with more hazardous materials in large quantities. And then when they are burning, they're burning really, really badly. I mean, there was that one fire in Rockville, Illinois. The entire warehouse went up and you couldn't do anything. You just had to make sure it didn't like kill anyone around it, kind of thing. So yes, fires themselves may be getting less, but the ones that are burning faster and hotter. We have to get there faster because people are dying faster. It's spreading so much faster than it used to. You want to have as many people close to you as possible. And again, it always comes down to one very simple question: what is the price of a human life, right? So if we say we don't need more firefighters. Okay, cool. Like, let's get rid of those firefighters. Your child is the one that's going to die as a result of that. Like, is that what we want to do? Because we don't.
Right.
We want to save every single person, no matter what.
Right. And it's a balance too. And tell me what you think. I found that a lot of people just don't. It's such a niche thing, working in the fire service, ranging from the schedules to your job duties to everything. And I've realized that so many people just don't understand the basics. I mean, I've started reviewing fires and just kind of explaining the basics of what's going on my channel, just because it happened to me. Probably I talked about this maybe a few months ago. There was a fire. It was 4 a.m., 5 a.m., and we pulled up and this house was rolling. But prior to that, our captain got in the command vehicle and he went there first. And he said as he was pulling up, people were just pounding on his windows, screaming at him to get the fire department. And they thought he was just hanging out, sitting there. We know what he's doing, and we know how important him being there for those first couple minutes, telling us what's going on so that we don't have to start all over as soon as he gets there. Do you think we just do a bad job of explaining to society the importance of the role that we play and why? And I get it, nobody wants to pay more in taxes, I get that too, but it seems like there's a large contingent of people that really don't like that. I mean, what do you think?
I mean, it's hard, right? When money is involved, and when you're on the taxpayer's dollar, it is hard to justify your job. We know the saying, like, you don't pay us for what we're doing, you pay us for what we will do. That's what it really comes down to. But it is very difficult to make the taxpayer understand. When we show up, we don't just show up and then chill until a call comes in. There's normally other tasks. We're out there, doing checking flow volumes on hydrants. Depending on the area, you're doing fire inspections, or you're going by, you're helping people install smoke detectors. Like these are the things. And then if you're an EMS based as well, which I am, we do both. Like, we are running EMS calls, so on and so forth. We have done a very good job of specializing in everything. So no matter what you call for, we can be there for that. And that's what you want. You don't want 6 different agencies showing up. And, privatized EMS is great. It is. Until it's not great, until
Right.
that, until they can't pay their people appropriately, which we see all the time in EMS, so they can't get people to show up. Like that's where the problems come in. And volunteer firefighters, and I'll say this until the day I die, I don't care how much crap I get for it. Volunteer firefighters are the reason firefighting exists, period. So people that want to give them crap, whatever, that's your prerogative. If you're a firefighter-owned business and you give volunteers shit, you're an idiot, because they're probably the ones buying your stuff.
Yep.
But I say, like, listen, we need volleys as much as we need career people. We need everybody. Like, a well-balanced system is exactly that, a well-balanced system.
Yeah, that's something I've never understood. When I first got hired, it was more prevalent. But I remember I used to hear people talk about how we should get rid of volunteer departments because a volunteer firefighter is taking away a career job for somebody. And I could never wrap my mind around how in anybody's mind that actually made sense, because there's so many, rural communities and just poor municipalities. They can't afford it. It's expensive. So what else are you going to do? And it's ironic. The people that usually say that and give volunteers crap are the people that got their start in their career from being a volunteer, started to get to know people, and then went from there. So I hate it when I hear people say stuff like that about part-timers, volunteer, all of that.
Yeah. And because again, I've met a lot of volleys, man, and their heart is in it, bro. They love what they do. Like, I understand to a point why some volleys get bad raps, because some volunteers, they don't put enough time into it to really perfect their job. But at the same time, these guys are working, 12-hour days, and then they're going home, eating dinner with their family, hanging out, getting a call at 3 a.m. Like it's hard, man. It's really hard. But without volunteers, exactly what you said, man, they're not paying a paid department to come in there. And if they do, you're going to be making about $18,000 a year. You willing to do that? Because most guys aren't willing to. So,
no.
We just embrace what we can use, and I think it's awesome. And most volleys, they truly have the heart in it, man, and it's really cool to see.
For sure. So we talked about getting into the fire service. I asked about you, and then I just mentioned a lot of guys get their start in volunteer departments. And I encourage everybody, if you're out there and you're looking to get your start in the fire service, this is what you want to do. Go, if you're out west, go work as a wildland firefighter. If you are in a municipal place or a rural place, go volunteer at your local department. There's so many benefits to it.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to a kid, 18, 20, 25? Hell, some people are even 30, 35 and say, I can't do what I'm doing anymore. I want to change. This is something I've always wanted to do. What advice would you give them to get started?
Pulling that trigger is hard, man. It was hard for me. Like, I was making decent money as a mechanic, and I had to quit my job and go deliver Chinese food, which you want to gain weight fast. That is the ticket, right?
That's the weight gainer.
Bro, I put like 50 pounds on. Like, it was bad. It was bad. So no, pull the trigger, man. Like, do it. This is change is difficult, but change is, the most developing for anything in your life. So yeah, do it. Get whatever you can. If you can volunteer at a place, volunteer at a place. Some places require that. So go volunteer, have a good time, man. Enjoy it. I think we show up for the job, but we stay for the brotherhood, the camaraderie, right? Brotherhood involves sisters as well. Some people say it otherwise, but that's the truth, man. We love the job, but we stay for the camaraderie. We love being around everybody, hanging out, and being with our friends for 24 hours and saving lives at the same time. So, I would say, like, dive into it, enjoy it, find what you like. Some people get on 6 months and they're like, this isn't for me. I just saw a guy's head missing. I'm good. Thank you. So, like, it is what it is, man. But you're not going to regret it. If you get on the job and you love it, it's the best job on the face of the planet.
Yeah. And that's okay, because there are some people that get into it and they're on for 6 months, they're on for a year or two, and they start to, you could tell the decline starts. And like, I don't know if this is, that's okay. You don't have to stay. That doesn't make you bad. That's just, if it ran its course, it ran its course, and then move on. But there's also some people out there that'll give them a hard time. I agree with you 100%. If you want to do this, you should jump in. Go ahead.
Yeah. And that's just a weird thing to give someone crap about. Oh, you leave? You don't enjoy your job?
Right.
What do you want him to do?
Right. Yeah. Just hang out and be miserable. Every firehouse has that guy too. And that guy, nobody likes being around that guy.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Do not be that guy, man. That guy is tough to be around. So,
No.
so what's next? What's next for? Let's talk about Fire Department Chronicles. What's next for Fire Department Chronicles? You've been around. You've been doing this for what? 4 years now? 5 years now?
4 or 5 years. Yeah. Yeah.
What's next?
That's the question I wake up and ask myself every day. No kidding. It's just staying up with the times, that kind of thing. Like I said, I want to come out with just a little video poking fun with my police officer friends, and say what I think they're saying before we arrive on scene. I do TikTok. I've really enjoyed it lately. TikTok has been a blast. Anyone who's not on there, you need to jump on there, especially if you have a business or you're trying to increase your reach as any kind of social media. Dude, that's one of the best platforms. Oh my God, dude. I have a 1.1 million followers on there right now. And that's just me being me. That's the platform where I can create content if I want, or I could just exactly what you're doing, right? What you're doing on your YouTube, man. That's what you put on there. Like, hey, these are the pieces of advice I would give you. And they love it, man. TikTok wants creators, like people that create cool videos and stuff, and they want educators. Those are the two things that they love on there, man. Yes, yeah. And if you want a business or anything like that, jump on there. People make fun of TikTok. Making fun of TikTok is like, making fun of Facebook when MySpace, like it doesn't make sense anymore. Like, yeah, or whatever. You thought it was a cool. It's very, very, very powerful. And dude, when I was in at FDIC, I probably took pictures, myself and Firefighter Fenton. We probably took pictures with close to 4,000 people. It was insane, dude. It was just the coolest experience I've ever had. Like, so humbling, man. Like, just so cool to be able to hang out with people and talk and learn about each other from different areas, man. It was just such an amazing experience. And I would say 25% of those people came up and they were like, I love your TikToks. I love your TikToks.
Really? Oh,
100%.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. Jump on there. Very simple. You video yourself, man. I promise you it's worth it, man. So, I'm flying up to New York next month. I'm going to do we got the beginnings of a TV show for highlighting career firefighters, what they do every day going across the United States. And then I'm hopefully finalizing the game show Shocker Shot as a actual thing. So it's gonna be fun, man.
Awesome, man. Yeah. That is awesome. And so then, what's next for Fire Department Coffee? Are you guys just gonna? You got anything new coming? Yeah. What's new? What's coming up there?
Yeah, we all new flavors all the time. We just came out with our donut shop 4. It's really, really good, bold flavors, man. Sweet flavors. We got a double chocolate, blueberry cake, a vanilla sprinkle, and then a red velvet coffee, man. Really good, and should be in a ton of retailers here in the next 4 months or so. First quarter of 2022, we should hopefully be in just over 1,000 retailers. So it's
awesome.
Gonna be fun, man. Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you for coming on. Thank you for taking the time to talk to me. I appreciate you taking the time, but also I appreciate what you're doing with Fire Department Chronicles and spreading humor across firehouses worldwide. So thank you for doing that. Keep doing the good work. And
you too, brother. I've been watching you too, man. I've been watching you too.
So, well, thank you. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it.
Man. All right, buddy.